What's the story, everyone? Welcome back to GAA Fan TV. My name is Aaron. I hope everyone is keeping wonderfully well. Happy New Year to everyone who watches this channel, who contributes to the channel in whatever way possible. I very much appreciate everyone who tuned in 2022. And here we go then. Another year on this channel in 2023. Another year looking at the GAA and looking at what might happen in 2023. And today this video is going to be a little bit different. I've never done a video like this at the start of a year before, where I sort of just look at general predictions and sort of give my own take on what will happen in the GAA in 2023. But yeah, today's video is going to be a little bit different. It's obviously just a bit of fun, bit of crack. I might be a bit crazy and a bit mental to put my neck on the line and make predictions right now, which will certainly backfire and make me look a lot more silly at the end of the year. But at the same time, I don't really care, because I like putting my neck on the line. It's always a bit of fun. It's good content as well, I know. As I was saying, like, this is just going to be sort of quick pick predictions. We're going to be looking at the club football, club hurling winners. We're going to be looking at the National Football League winners, the National Hurling League winners, the All-Ireland winners in both football and hurling, Tailteann Cup winners, the surprise package in both football and hurling, both the footballer and hurler of the year, the Breakout Star in both football and hurling, the ladies football winners, the camogie winners, and the GAA moment of the year. Just saying all that out loud makes me think I'm absolutely crazy to do this.
You're crazy, man. You're crazy.
And obviously I can change my mind between now and the next couple of months, and I will make a more detailed National Football League predictions video in the next week or so. That's going to be in the works now in the next couple of days. I'm going to be recording that in the next couple of days to hopefully get it out in the next week or so. Look, I've made it very well known on this channel that I think Kilmacud Crokes are going to win the All-Ireland. I don't need to go into much more detail as to why I think they will win it. I've mentioned it numerous times before, and I still think they will win it with the players that they have, and Shane Walsh, Craig Diaz. Just so many options. Like, defensively, they're sound. Got so many great players in there. Darren Mullins looked very good. Rory Carroll in around the back as well. I just don't see how they're going to be beat. Watty Gramesglen I think will be the closest to them. Mike Cullen, if they come through Watty Gramesglen, I think maybe will give them a challenge as well. But I can't see past Kilmacud Crokes at this moment in time. Looking at the All-Ireland Senior Club Hurling Championship, there's obviously just two teams left in this competition. Ballyhale Shamrocks taking on Dunloy. I mean, what a story for Dunloy in Antrim to be getting to an All-Ireland final, to have beaten St Thomas in that All-Ireland semi-finals. I mean, what a story, what a moment that was for them. And for Ballyhale Shamrocks getting revenge on Ballygunner as well. But I think Ballyhale, look, with their experience, with the players that they have, they should be beating Dunloy, let's be honest. I mean, they should be beating them. It would be one of the biggest club shocks of all time, I think, if Dunloy happened to beat Ballyhale. So I think Ballyhale should do it. They should do it comfortably as well. TJ Reid, Owen Cody, I mean, Joey Holden and Colin Fennelly have been excellent this year as well. Don't see how Dunloy can stop them, in my opinion. So yeah, Ballyhale will win it. Moving on to the National Football League. Obviously, as I said, I will make a more detailed video on this in about a week's time. But I think the winners of the competition will be Kerry, because they've shown over the last couple of years that they treat the league very, very serious. They start as they mean to go on, and they very much sort of set the template for them to build on throughout the year, and sort of start with the right attitude, the right consistency. And as they say, winning breeds confidence. And for Kerry, the last couple of seasons, the thing has been, there's been no resting of players. You go absolutely as strong as you can right from the get-go. I mean, who remembered last year when Kerry were in the McGrath Cup, I think playing Limerick, and David Clifford was playing, I think Sean O'Shea was playing. They literally went almost with their strongest starting 15 in a pre-season tournament, which is very rare to see. So I think those levels and those standards that were set by Jack O'Connor. To be fair, Peter Keane was very similar in the league, in his approach in the league as well. I don't see that changing for Kerry. I think there will be slip-ups in the league. Like last year, they obviously lost to Tyrone in the league. And I think there will be one or two slip-ups in the league again this year. Maybe they might get beat along the way, potentially. But I think all in all, they will still have enough to win the league, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of other teams that'll be trying different things out and sort of maybe have more of a focus towards the championship. I think Kerry, the thing about them as well is, even if they rest players or rotate players, they still have so many good players to come in. I mean, their forward line is absolutely stacked. David Clifford, Sean O'Shea, Paul Gainey, Killian Spillane, Adrian Spillane, you've got Paul O'Shea in there, Paddy Clifford, Jack Savage, Darren Moynihan. So many options all across the pitch for this Kerry side. Even if they rotate throughout the league, I still think they'll have enough, and especially in a league final in Croke Park, with it being so close to championship. Let's not forget as well, Kerry don't get a significant challenge in Munster, and they, in that group stage as well, they probably won't get one either. So yeah, I think Kerry will go pretty strong in the league and they'll win it once again. The National Hurling League's always an interesting one because Limerick, for whatever reason, don't go strong at all in the Hurling League. They haven't in the last 2 seasons, and I think a lot of the time they're sort of building up towards the All-Ireland Championship, and I think it's a lot different for Limerick in hurling as it is for Kerry in football, because Limerick are going into that Munster round robin, which is very, very intense. I mean, you're playing 4 teams of the highest standards. You're playing in 4 quick games in quick succession, and that's just to get out of the province. Whereas Kerry in football, I mean, they can sleepwalk there through their province with absolute ease, really. So for Limerick, they usually treat the Hurling League as sort of rotating, trying out younger players. You'll probably see under 20 players coming in there, so I don't think they'll win the league. I think they will be better than the last few seasons. They might get to a semi-final or be thereabouts, but I think all in all, I don't think they'll win it. And it's going to be interesting. There's a lot of teams going in here in transition. I mean, Tipperary, Waterford, Kilkenny, Cork, Dublin, all going to have new managers. So I think that opens it up for Galway, in my opinion. I think you've seen Henry Shefflin make real strides with his team last year. Joseph Cooney, very impressive. Cathal Mannion, Evan Nyland, excellent as always. So I think Galway are going to win the league. In terms of the All-Ireland Football Championship, I mean, it's crazy predicting this right now because of the fact that, we're months and months away, and obviously when we see the league and we see teams play, we'll know a bit more in more detail. But I think for me, I just can't look past Kerry at this moment in time. Look, I've got the Dublin jersey on, the retro Dublin jersey on. I would love Dublin to get back and win the All-Ireland, make no mistake about that. And I do think Dublin will be the closest, with Jack McCaffrey and Paul Mannion coming back into the side. Couple of maybe under 20 players like Fionn Murray and Adam Waddock maybe to look out for this year. But I'm still a little bit sceptical about Dublin. There were a lot of defensive issues last year. Yes, Con O'Callaghan was injured a lot of the time, but there are just a lot of question marks over Dublin. I mean, Paul Mannion, Jack McCaffrey and Con O'Callaghan have all had injury issues the last couple of years. Owen Merchant as well. Evan Comerford in goal, I think is a long way to go anywhere near the status of Stephen Cluxton, in my opinion. I think he can be quite vulnerable at times when the pressure is there. So I think there are question marks over Dublin still, and I don't quite buy in that they're going to stop Kerry. I think Kerry, for me, as long as Clifford, Sean O'Shea stays fit, and a lot of the other lads in there as well, I don't see how they're going to be stopped. I think last year there were times when Kerry were beatable, and I think they're going to be even better next year as well. Like in that All-Ireland final, they looked a little bit nervous, a little bit vulnerable. Now that the monkey's off the back for Kerry, they're going to be totally different, and I think they're going to be very, very hard to stop, in my opinion. Clifford's only going to get better. Sean O'Shea's only going to get better. Some of the other forwards that are on the fringes are only going to get better. They've good under 20 lads coming in. As much as I would love to see Dublin beat them, I don't see it happening at this moment in time. After that, I would look at 6 teams really sort of all on an even sort of par. I think Armagh, Mayo, Galway, Derry, Tyrone. I think all 6 of them can all beat each other on any given day, and I don't see any of them 6 coming close to the All-Ireland. Obviously 2 of them I think will be in the semi-finals alongside Dublin and Kerry, and who knows, there might be shocks, there might be surprises, and there's always trills and spills along the way. But I think between the 6 of them, they're very, very even. But I think all in all, I think Dublin and Kerry are just that bit ahead, but I think Kerry are, for me, number 1 at this moment in time. The All-Ireland hurling winners for me are going to be Limerick. Look, they've won 3 in a row. I just don't see them being stopped in any way whatsoever in 2023, in my opinion, because I'm looking at it, and as I said earlier in the league prediction there, there's a lot of teams in transition. I think Tipperary, Waterford, Dublin, Kilkenny, Cork, all going to have new managers, all maybe transitioning in new players, younger players. And I actually think that Limerick are going to breeze to the All-Ireland this year. I think it's going to be very, very comfortable for them. I mean, look, in the Munster round robin, it's always tough, and there certainly will be challenges. I think Clare and Galway will be the 2 closest teams to them this year. I've liked the look of Clare in the last couple of seasons. Still some question marks over them, and when the goings got really tough for Clare at times, they have cracked. And Galway looked very, very good last year in Henry Shefflin's first year. But I think the question mark will be, can they kick on even more now going into 2023? But all in all, I just think Limerick have far too much quality. Cian Lynch is going to be back as well. Cathal O'Neill's looks very good, obviously, with the under-20s the last couple of seasons. Made his mark in the senior team this year as well. Could be another big year for him. And the thing is with Limerick, last year, every time the going got tough, they found an answer. And I just don't see how they're going to be stopped. So Limerick for me are going to win the Liam McCarthy. Surprise package in football. Always a tough one. Always a tough one to predict this. I mean, Armagh have been the sort of surprise package that everyone's looked at in the last couple of seasons. I actually think it would be more of a surprise if they didn't do anything big this year. So I think saying they're going to be the surprise package, I think, was a little bit fortuitous there. But other teams, Westmeath, I mean, Tailteann Cup winners last year, guaranteed place in the Sam Maguire. You would expect them to look very good in Division 3 this season. Obviously going into the group stages, which I think is something that could benefit a team like Westmeath, given the fact that they're never going to win Leinster, are they? So I think getting to an All-Ireland quarter-finals, it's not out of the realms of possibility. I think anything beyond that will be too much of a stretch. But it'll be interesting to see, what happens with Westmeath. Given they won that Tailteann Cup last year, do they look even better this year, or are they still sort of Tailteann Cup level? There are some question marks there, but they have a very, very good side. But I would say Westmeath, for me, are my surprise package for 2023. Surprise package in hurling, very difficult. I mean, Tipperary, obviously were All-Ireland winners back in 2019. They've had a big sort of change of players, and a lot of players have retired, and everything else. There's probably going to be a lot of younger lads coming in. Liam Cahill obviously going in there as manager. I mean, what a job he done at Waterford. Very, very close to winning the All-Ireland with them. So would Tipperary be my surprise package? I mean, I think them getting to a semi-final or a final would be a surprise this year. I don't know if I see them getting to a final, to be honest. It would depend on whether Galway and Clare have off years, or Cork don't live up to the hype either. Cork as well could be a surprise package. I mean, but they were in the All-Ireland final 2 years ago, so it's very, very, it's always difficult. There's always, there's actually rarely ever surprises in hurling, to be honest. I mean, further down the leagues are looking at the Joe McDonagh or the Christy Ring. I mean, Kildare have really looked like they've been onto something in hurling the last couple of seasons. You look at the progression of Naas at club level, under 20s have looked quite bright at different times, and going into that Joe McDonagh Cup, could they maybe cause a surprise or two? Maybe they could. Mayo and Sligo have a big sort of groundwork done in hurling in the last couple of years. They could be contenders for the Christy Ring, but it's very, very hard to say. If I had to pick a surprise package, I'd say Tipperary and Kildare are the two teams I'd be looking the most at to cause a few surprises this year. The Tailteann Cup obviously has a lot of if, buts and maybes, with the fact that obviously two teams get relegated from Division 2, go into the Tailteann Cup. Two teams promoted from Division 3 don't go into the Tailteann Cup. So if you're looking at it, you're thinking, if Cavan get promoted from Division 3, they shouldn't be in the Tailteann Cup. And obviously you're looking at who goes down from Division 2. The team I'm going to pick, though, to win the Tailteann Cup is Louth. I think they will get relegated from Division 2. Spoiler alert for the Football League predictions. But I don't think they'll have enough to stay up in Division 2. But I think on the Tailteann Cup, with Mickey Hart, Sam Mulroy, who's an extraordinary forward as well, Kieran Keenan I've been very impressed with. A couple of other young lads maybe coming through. And how about this maybe for a prediction? Louth win the Tailteann Cup in Mickey Hart's last game as an inter-county football manager. He's been flirting with the Slot Neil job recently. You could see him maybe go in there, and you would look at it and think, is there anything more he could do with this Louth team if he was to win the Tailteann Cup? I don't know if there is. I think that's the perfect fairy tale ending for one of the best Gaelic games managers, best Gaelic football managers we've ever seen. So yeah, I'm going to say Louth win the Tailteann Cup. Footballer of the year then. I mean, there's only one man that springs to mind, and it has to be David Clifford. I mean, I can't remember the last time someone won back-to-back Footballer of the Year awards, but I think David Clifford is right on cue to win this because, I mean, he was absolutely sensational last year. He was incredible, and it's actually funny, like, he missed the Munster final. He was quiet enough against Cork in the All-Ireland semi, or in the semi-finals of the Munster Championship. So I think he could have an even better year next year. Do you know what I mean? So there's still actually some improvement potentially to come. Yeah, I mean, the only risk is he has played a lot of football in 2022. Could there maybe be an injury? If there is an injury to David Clifford, because I think as long as he stays fit, he's going to win it, because Kerry are going to go far in the Championship and the league. So I just don't see how David Clifford doesn't win it. But if he was to get an injury, let's say, I mean, outside of that, Con O'Callaghan's had his injury problems. Paul Mannion, I think, I don't quite think he'll win it, to be honest. I think he'd be close. Shane Walsh maybe for Galway if they have a great year. Rian O'Neill could be close. Maybe even another Kerry player like Paddy Clifford could win it. He's obviously been knocking on the door the last couple of years of winning that. Could we have a defender even potentially to win it as well? I mean, it's hard to know. But I think all in all, David Clifford for me just has way too much firepower, and as long as he doesn't get injured, he's winning Footballer of the Year. We then have Hurler of the Year, and always a tough one to call this because Limerick generally win this award, and as I said, I think they'll comfortably walk their way to an All-Ireland Championship this year. So I think one of the Limerick players will win Hurler of the Year. Although the likes of Tony Kelly, I think, could be close again this year. Davy Fitzgerald of Clare actually looked very good last year as well. You're looking at Joseph Cooney of Galway, Conor Whelan maybe as well. But I think for Limerick, I mean, the obvious candidates are Cian Lynch maybe coming back in, back from injury and everything else. Could he win it? Groat Hegarty, Aaron Gallant, Dermot Burns won it last year. You're looking at midfield, William O'Donoghue, Darragh O'Donovan maybe as well. I mean, you could literally pick out any Limerick player of their starting 15 and make a case of it. Nicky Quaid's been a player that I've thought, he's looked very, very close to winning it the last couple of seasons. Could this be his year? I'm not sure. But I think the man I'm going to go for is Groat Hegarty. I think it's the safest bet. He always turns up in All-Ireland finals. He always turns up in big games. And I don't see that changing. And actually, I think with Cian Lynch coming back into the fall for Limerick, the emergence of the likes of Cathal O'Neill as well, I think Hegarty will have more space, more time on the ball this year than previous years. And I think for that reason, he'll do even more damage than he's done in previous seasons. So, yeah, Groat Hegarty to win Hurler of the Year. Breakout star in Gaelic football then. I mean, always a tough one to call because we don't know if certain players are going to play. But for me, the player has to be Rory Canavan. I mean, he's looked very, very good for Errigal Kieran in the Tyrone Senior Football Championship, and obviously looked fairly decent as well against Watty Gramesglen in that was a quarter-final in the Ulster Club Championship. You look at some of the players who've opted out this year for Tyrone and some of the players who won't be available. I think Rory Canavan has to surely now come into the team. If he doesn't get into the team that much, you would question sort of what's going on with Tyrone and why can't they get this player into the team. He is young, he is raw, and physically and conditioning wise he probably does need to bulk up to compete with some of the very physical teams that are in Ulster and also in the All-Ireland Championship as well. But I would look at Rory Canavan as the breakout star in my opinion. Cian McConville's looks very good for Crossmaglen in the last couple of years. Could he maybe now finally make the breakthrough for Armagh? Only thing is with Armagh is I don't think they're in a rush to play Cian McConville. I think they have a very settled forward line in my opinion. Adam Waddock's looked very good for the Dublin under-20s the last couple of seasons, and for Thomas Davis, he could really be a player who could come into Dublin. But again, he usually plays as a midfielder, so it's hard to know really if he actually does come into the team. So yeah, I think Rory Canavan for me, the breakout footballer of the year in 2022. 2023 actually, Jesus, I'm confusing my years. Breakout hurler of the year then. Billy Drennan has looked very good for Kilkenny. He was top scorer in the under-20 championship last year, had a very, very good season for them when they won the under-20 title. Ben Cunningham of Cork, again another player who's really been sort of on the lips of a lot of Cork fans. He obviously looked very good for St Finbarrs this year, and obviously he's been recently called up to the Cork Hurlers under Pat Ryan to the senior team. James Duggan of Laois has been a player I've sort of been looking to see, will he come into the team? I didn't really hear too much about him last year. Wasn't playing for the under-20s, so I don't really know what the crack is with him. So I think the player I'll go for is Billy Drennan of Kilkenny. Although Ben Cunningham probably will play a lot of games for Cork as well under Pat Ryan, but Billy Drennan for me. Ladies Football Championship then. I mean, Meath have obviously won back-to-back All-Irelands in the Ladies Football Championship, and what's actually interesting is if you go down through the roll of honour in ladies football, usually once a team starts dominating in the Ladies Football Championship, they continue to dominate, and it's a hard one to call because Meath will obviously have a new manager in there. Obviously Eamon Murray has stepped down. There were reports that obviously Vicky Wall has been playing in the AFL, but it looks like she's going to be coming back into the Meath team. I'm not 100% sure if that is confirmed yet. They've obviously lost a couple of other players as well, but I think Meath won't win it this year. I think Kerry could be very close. They have a very young side. Could they maybe make a stab at an All-Ireland again this year? Sheaffer O'Shea's looked very good there. Galway have been progressing quite nicely. Armagh are always a tough test, but I'm going to go with my own county in this one. I'm going to go with Dublin. I think we'll have enough to get back on top in the All-Ireland Ladies Football Championship. I think last year it was a strange one. We sort of just lost ourselves in the knockout stages, and I think this year we're coming back. We're coming for Meath's title. Dublin will win the All-Ireland. In terms of the camogie All-Ireland title, I'm going to be honest, my knowledge of camogie is very, very few and far between. It's usually been between Cork, Galway and Kilkenny in the last couple of seasons. It's usually them three who either get to a final or win it. I mean, Cork haven't won one since 2018, and actually the last county to win one other than Cork, Galway and Kilkenny was Wexford back in 2012. So I think it will be one of them three. Kilkenny won it last year. I'm going to say Galway get back on top this year. And then we have moment of the year in the GAA, and this is a wild prediction right here because, I mean, it's so hard to call, isn't it? I mean, I feel Armagh are going to win the Ulster Championship this year. Is that going to be moment of the year? Again, it depends on the context in terms of how they win it. You know, do they win it with a late minute goal or a late Rian O'Neill point or something of that nature? You know, so it's very hard to call. What I would say is, when you look at the way that the championship is structured, if Dublin and Kerry both win their provinces, which I think they will, if they both top their groups in the group stages, which I think they will, it's likely that those two will play each other in an All-Ireland final because I think it's going to be Munster and Ulster in a semi-final and Leinster and Connacht. And providing there's no shocks and trills and spills, and look, I certainly wouldn't bet against that, a Dublin and Kerry All-Ireland final. And I think that game alone could be moment of the year, you know, whatever happens in that game. So I think that's what I'll say. I've obviously predicted Kerry to win the All-Ireland, so maybe David Clifford does something magic and scores a hat-trick in the final or something mental. Sean O'Shea does some wonders again, or who knows, maybe, you know, the complete opposite, and Paul Mannion or Jack McCaffrey do something special. Con O'Callaghan does something unbelievable. Maybe Dean Rock, in sort of his, you know, going into his final years, does something magical. I don't know, but yeah, I'm going to say the moment of the year comes from that game involving Kerry somehow winning the All-Ireland. But anyway, they are my predictions for 2023. As I said, just a bit of crack, just a bit of a laugh. And do let me know in the comments down below some of your predictions going into 2023. You know, I will change my mind probably in a lot of these predictions, obviously, because, as I said, I'm recording this on New Year's Eve in 2022. So, you know, I'm certainly allowed to change my mind, make no mistake about that. But do let me know in the comments down below your predictions and everything else. As I said before, plenty more content coming soon. We'll be doing a National Football League predictions video in the next week or so, and some other content and everything else to come as the championship makes its way, or the league and the championship comes very close. So yeah, cheers to anyone who tuned in. Leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all later.